A very warm welcome to you all students. Today we are going to discuss about another kingdom, that is Protista, which is a second kingdom of the five kingdom classification given by R.H. Whittaker. Now the kingdom Protista includes all the unicellular eukaryotic organisms. I repeat, the kingdom Protista includes all the unicellular eukaryotic organisms. The Protista members of the Protista are primarily aquatic in nature. This kingdom forms a link with the other dealing with plants, animals and fungi. Okay, actually in kingdom Protista, those organisms are kept which show the characteristics of both plants and animals. So actually they are a connecting link between the plants and the animals. Okay, this Protista kingdom was created by Ernest Haeckel. In this kingdom he included all those organisms which were neither completely plants nor completely animals. Now, being the eukaryotes, the Protestant cell body contains a well-defined nucleus because they are eukaryotic. They are having a well-defined nuclear membrane and also the membrane-bound organelles. The protists reproduce both by sexually and asexual mode of reproduction, involving the cell fusion and the zygote formation in case of sexual reproduction. So they are just one cell. That is they are eukaryotic in nature, means they are having all the well-defined organelles, well-defined nuclear membrane, well-defined nucleus, and they are actually a link between the animals and the plants because they are neither completely plants nor they are completely animals. For example, Euglena. If we talk about Euglena is green in color. It is having flagella, but it is not having a cell wall. That means cell wall, which is the main characteristic of the green plants, is missing in them. But at the same time, they are having green color chlorophyll pigment with which they can prepare the food. That is, they can perform photosynthesis. But at the same time, since they are not having cell wall, their cell membrane is flexible, and just like amoeba, they can also trap their prey and have a holozoic mode of nutrition just like the animals too. That means they share the characteristics of both the animals and the plants. So all those organisms that are in between plants and animal characteristics are kept in this kingdom Protista. Now the kingdom Protista is further divided into some categories, and those are chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, protozoans, slime molds and euglenoids. I repeat, the Protista is further divided into chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, protozoans, slime molds and euglenoids. Means there are different types of protists. Now coming towards the very first category of Protista, that is chrysophytes. Now this group includes organisms which are named as diatoms and golden algae or the desmids. Okay, so this group includes the diatoms and the golden algae. They are found in fresh water, also in the marine environment. They are microscopic and they float passively in water. That is, they are also termed as planktons. Okay, what are planktons? Actually they are plant like, so you can see you can also say them as seaweeds. Understood? Most of them are photosynthetic in nature. The very first category of the Protista is that they are called, examples are diatoms and golden algae, and they are basically found in the fresh water as well as in the marine environments. They are microscopic, they flow along with the water currents, they are passive in nature, and they are mostly photosynthetic in nature. For example is given Triceratium and Pinularia, examples of chrysophyte. Now one thing very important about the chrysophytes are that especially in the diatoms, the cell walls is in the form of two overlapping shells which fit together like a soap box. Okay, since they are plant like, so I'm sorry for that. Okay, so I was talking that the diatoms, since they are plant like, so they are having cell wall. And what type of cell wall? It is in the form of two overlapping shells like the soap box, and these walls are made up of silica, and thus their cell walls are indestructible. This means that even if the diatoms die, their cell wall keeps on accumulating in a huge amount at the bed of the sea, and the remains of the cell walls of the diatoms, which are made up of silica, is termed to as diatomaceous earth. Okay, so if the question is asked that what is diatomaceous earth, so that is a huge deposition of the cell wall of silica of the diatoms at the bed of the sea. Okay, now this diatomaceous earth, since they are gritty in nature, so they are used in polishing, they are used in filtration of the oils and the syrups, and also the diatoms are known as the chief producers in the oceans. Chief producers means they since they are found in abundant in the oceans, so they produce a large amount of food by photosynthesis. Okay, so that is why they are termed as the chief producers. Here means they are capable of performing the photosynthesis and produce their own food. So we all know that directly or indirectly we all are depending upon the green plants, isn't it, for the food. So diatoms are the chief source of food in the oceans. Understood? So diatomaceous earth and the chief producers, this is the two key point of the chrysophytes. Next group of the protists are dinoflagellates. These organisms are mostly marine and they are photosynthetic in nature. They can be yellow, green, blue or the red depending upon the type of pigment which is present in them. Now the cell wall, like in diatoms it was made up of silica, here the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Okay, and most of them have got two flagella, that is why they are referred to as dinoflagellates, because they are having two flagella. Now very often there is one type of dinoflagellate, the name is Goniolax. Okay, Goniolax, which is also known as the red dinoflagellate, it undergoes rapid multiplication at such an alarming rate that they make the sea appear red. And that phenomenon in which these Goniolax, they rapidly multiply to make the sea surface appear red, you can see in the photograph. This phenomenon is known as the red tides. Okay, so and also not only they multiply and make the sea red, but actually they also produce certain toxic substances in large numbers which can kill other marine animals such as fishes. So they are economically harmful also for different types of aquatic animals. So the main characteristics of dinoflagellates are they are mostly marine, while diatoms can be freshwater also, but here they are mostly marine. Marine means they can live in sea, ocean and salty water area. फोटोसिंथेटिक होते हैं और कई कलर के हो सकते हैं, डिपेंड करता है कि कौन सा पिगमेंट इनके अंदर पाया गया है. देन द सेल वॉल इनका सेलुलोज का बना होता है जैसे कि प्लांट्स के होते हैं. एंड दे आर हैविंग फ्लैजेला मोस्टली टू. Okay, so and also they can multiply in such an alarming rate. Example is the red dinoflagellate, that the whole of the sea surface, you can see in the photograph also, it's appearing reddish blue, isn't it? The red color is because of the excessive number of the Goniolax. Also they produce a large amount of toxins which can kill different types of fishes. Next group of protist is the euglenoids. As I already told you that euglenas are the freshwater organism. They are found in stagnant water. Stagnant means ठहरा हुआ पानी. ठीक है, जैसे कि पॉन्ड हो गया, लेक हो गया. ओके, So instead of the cell wall, and I told you that they are not having cell wall like plants, instead they are having a protein rich membrane or layer which is called pellicle. Okay, the Euglena, they are plant like because they are having the photosynthetic pigment and they can perform photosynthesis in the presence of the sunlight, but they do not have a cellulosic cell wall. Instead of the cellulosic cell wall, they are having a very protein rich layer, flexible membrane, which is known as pellicle. And it is because of this pellicle that in the absence of the sunlight, these Euglena becomes heterotrophic in nutrition, okay, and they start predating on the smaller organisms, okay. But the pigments of the euglenoids are exactly similar to those of the green plants, that is, they are similar to the chlorophyll, okay. So that is why Euglena acts both like a plant and as an animal. Because of the chlorophyll, they can perform photosynthesis, so they are considered as plant. But if the sunlight is not present, the cell membrane makes the body flexible and they start catching their prey just like the animals do. So they behave like animals or the heterotrophs. You can see the structure of the Euglena, isn't it? It's having a single flagella which helps in locomotion. Next group of protista is slime molds. Slime molds are actually like fungus. ठीक है, like we have studied कि fungus के अंदर क्या होते हैं, spores produce होते हैं. They are having the fruiting bodies and they grow on dead and decaying objects. Same is the case with the slime molds. The only difference between the fungi and the slime molds is that the slime molds are unicellular eukaryotic, whereas the fungus are multicellular eukaryotic. Slime molds are unicellular eukaryotic and the fungi are multicellular and eukaryotic. Understood? So the slime molds are basically saprophytic protists, that is, they grow on the dead and decaying twigs and leaves and they engulf the organic matter. For example, Plasmodium. Okay, you can see here the figure of the Plasmodium. They are having the spores like body, isn't it? It's very small spores are present inside them. So that is the structure of a slime mold. Okay, so it is basically saprophytic mode of nutrition. Next important group of the protista are protozoans. Now these protozoans are heterotrophic and they live as predators or parasites. ठीक है, तो इकोनॉमिक इम्पोर्टेंस इनका बहुत होता है बिकॉज दे आर बिलीव्ड टू बी predators also and parasites also, okay, and they are believed to be primitive relatives of animals. Now there are 4 major groups of the protozoans. Basically the protozoans are related with some types of diseases in humans or in animals. Okay, so what are these 4 major groups of protozoans? Let's see. Basically there are 4 types of protozoans. Number 1 is amoeboid protozoan, number 2 is flagellated protozoans, third is ciliated protozoans, and the fourth is the sporozoans. Okay, depending upon the shape and structure, the name of the protozoans are given. So amoeboid protozoans, you all know the example is amoeba. Okay, so amoeba is a unicellular eukaryotic organism which can live in mostly fresh water, but it can live in the sea also or in the moist soil also. They have the capacity to capture their prey by producing pseudopodia, and some of the amoeba are disease causing also. So they live as a parasite in the intestine of some humans or some animals. Example is Entamoeba histolytica. Okay, example is Entamoeba histolytica, that causes the amoebic dysentery. Okay, what is the symptom of amoebic dysentery? That is loose motions, cramps, then weight loss. Okay, So basically amoeboids, they are heterotrophic in nutrition and they can be parasitic in nature. Next type of protozoan is the flagellated protozoan. The example is Trypanosoma. You can see the structure here. It is spindle like or tube like, and both the ends are having and the flagella, isn't it? They are having flagella at their ends, you can see. So the member of this group are either free living or they can be parasitic, but they have flagella, so they are known as flagellated protozoan, and they basically cause sleeping sickness. For example, Trypanosoma causes sleeping sickness. The example of amoeboid protozoa which causes disease is Entamoeba, which causes amoebic dysentery. Then flagellated protozoan, for example, is Trypanosoma, which causes sleeping sickness. Okay. Next type is ciliated protozoans, because they are having the presence of thousands of small hair-like structures known as cilia. For example, Paramecium. Okay. So ciliated protozoan का example है Paramecium, because they are having a large number of cilia all around their body, and they are aquatic, actively moving organisms because of the presence of cilia. They are having a cavity, gullet, that opens to the outside of the cell. Okay, that is actually their, you can say, mouth part is known as the gullet of the Paramecium. Okay. And the last category of the protozoans are the sporozoans. This includes the diverse organisms that have an infectious spore-like stage in their life cycle. The most notorious is the Plasmodium. Example of sporozoan is Plasmodium. Why they are called sporozoans? Because they have spore-like stage. ठीक है, छोटे छोटे गोल गोल स्फेरिकल स्पोर लाइक स्टेजेस होते हैं इनके लाइफ साइकिल में, जिसकी वजह से हम इन्हें स्पोरोजोन्स बोलते हैं. एग्जाम्पल क्या है? प्लास्मोडियम, एंड वी ऑल नो दैट प्लास्मोडियम is responsible for causing malaria. That means Plasmodium is a malarial parasite. Understood? So the cause of the malaria is Plasmodium, and the carrier or the vector of malaria is mosquito. Okay. So there is a difference between the agent, the vector, and the पैथोजन. पैथोजन क्या है मलेरिया का? प्लास्मोडियम है, जो कि छोटे छोटे स्पोर्स लाइक होते हैं, which are the parasites in the body of the Anopheles mosquito. Okay, so the mosquito is the vector or the carrier or the agent, but the cause of malaria is Plasmodium. So these were the 4 categories of the protozoans. Amoeboid, example is amoeba and entamoeba. Flagellated, example is Trypanosoma. Ciliated protozoan, example is Paramecium, and sporozoan, example is Plasmodium. All these are basically categorized on the basis of their shape and structures. So this was all about the kingdom Protista. Thank you.